You want to do the intro today, Kev?
Oh, no, you can do the intro. You're so good at it.
Oh, thanks, pal. You guys were laughing at me. In the beginning of the last episode, I started talking, and Jeff just goes, and you all started laughing. I was like, don't fuck up my flow.
It's funny.
Just all the hand motions.
Yeah, I always do it in the beginning.
It got Jeff.
Welcome to episode 26 of the Endless Enjoyment Podcast. I am your host, Chenzo, and I am here with my co-host,
Kevin Less.
Gang, gang, gang. We out here in Nashville, Tennessee. Today is July 21st, Thursday. Losing track of the days. Time's flying by.
Yeah, you're right. You got
it. You got the date right.
And we got a very special guest today.
We have the one and only Stephen DeRose Jr.
Oh, yeah. In the flesh.
Son of Stephen DeRose. Grandson of Salvatore DeRose.
That's true. It's true. He did your
brother of
research.
Anthony DeRose.
Yeah.
Cousin of Sal DeRose.
Shout out, Sal.
The third.
Shout out, Sal.
Shout out, Sal.
It's good to be here, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man.
Absolutely. I've been stoked. I've been wanting to do this for so long. I've been putting it off. I've had to wait for an opening. I had to wait for an opening in my schedule, so finally worked out.
Busy man.
Busy man.
Yeah, it's been a crazy couple months since we moved down here.
For sure.
So
I met Steve the first day of college.
Was it first day?
Yeah,
you know what? I came prepared and I was like, how do we meet? You know, I just jotted down
I think it was the Sky Zone.
It's Sky Zone?
Guys, probably.
That was funny when you were talking about
LLC.
that, dude. In the last episode, you're like, talking about, like, it's so weird to just be, like, bouncing up and down. You're like, hey, my name's Kevin.
Yeah, it was wild, but
it's a perfect icebreaker.
yeah, it was like the first or second day of college, August 2016.
Jeez, time's flying by. Was it then? Was it at Sky Zone?
I think so.
It was definitely through Jake, I guess.
Yeah, it's
FS,
definitely the
that
LLC.
whole squad, yeah.
FS.
So, yeah, we lived in the same dorm and
Bethel.
right?
Yeah.
I forgot where. Oh, you lived in FS with Jake,
Yeah.
right? I was like, where did you live again? No.
It was FS. It was me, Jake, Noah, Jeff, Berv,
King
Berv. Who else?
Donovan.
Oh, Donovan.
And Ben, I think his name was.
No, it wasn't Ben.
No, he had long hair. It was a different Ben.
I think it was Evan. I don't know.
No, remember that guy with the long hair? Like, covering his eyes?
Yeah. I don't know. He didn't say a single word to us the whole semester.
There you go.
The whole year, actually.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so Steven also went to University of New Haven.
I did.
Fellow alumni.
Yeah. We did the same program together.
Yeah.
So, there's that. You know, my freshman year, I didn't really enjoy it. It was funny because I lived with these people. I thought I was going to, whatever, have a good time with them. I ended up becoming friends with the people upstairs. Kevin came down, so we just crossed paths that way. So, it's so funny. I don't know.
Yeah, it just all worked out. And
Yeah.
then, well, I mean, your suite was just
It was the trap house.
It was the trap
So
house.
That wasn't my scene, so I was just trying to get out of that.
I still think the funniest thing was when they all got matching marijuana shirts with their names on it.
I thought you got one, too.
No, I didn't get one.
You weren't a part of that?
No, because I would just like stop smoking for a little bit, and then they're like, "We never see Kevin anymore." I was like, "Yeah, because you guys just smoke 7 times a day."
Oh my god, it was a problem. It was crazy. You know what? I reconnected with her old RA. She lives here now.
Does she?
Yeah, she does.
That's wild.
She lives in my old complex. Not the same building or anything, but the same complex. She's the first building there. And she was just telling stories about that whole time. And she was like, I was high half the time I had to deal with you guys. It was so funny. I was like, oh my god.
Well, like, I remember our RA, Will. There was one day where I think it was you, me, Ken, Jake, Noah, Jeff, and Ari. We were just hanging out in the lounge, and Ari just goes to Will. She's like, I'm tripping on acid right now. And Will's just like,
Yeah,
me too.
Yeah, that's it. They don't care.
Yeah.
They really don't. That's whatever.
But
As long as you're not being like blatantly stupid about it.
No, for real. That's it.
I've been in trouble a couple times.
Oh,
All
yeah.
my freshman year too.
What were you doing?
Got caught having weed in my room.
In your room? You're not even going out? That's crazy.
Long story there. Not
Okay.
really, but I'm not gonna get into it.
No, it's all
What
good.
was it? Oh, one of them was the second or third day of college. We were like smoking by Notre Dame, which we didn't
Oh my
realize was
God.
high school, right?
Yeah.
yeah, Notre Dame High School, not Notre Dame University.
Yeah.
Yup. So that didn't end well. That was like
Wow.
3 days into college. Like, well, it was like 2 a.m.
Wow. And they still got you.
That was another just could not believe
Right outside OTF
how that
house.
unfolded. Well, I can tell you that story another time. And then you got trouble for boozing once too. So
Just being loud or?
yeah,
Clanking
that one was
bottles and
definitely
stuff.
my fault because I was on the phone in the hallway and I said very loudly to my aunt that I was very drunk.
You called your aunt?
No, I think she had texted me, so I just called her back. I don't remember, but I was just like, yeah, something along the lines that I'm very drunk, and then next thing you know, someone was knocking on her door and was like, "It smells like booze in here."
Wow.
It's like, well, we're all shit-faced.
Holy shit.
So a handful of us got in trouble that time. And then, so by the third time, it was like they were about to kick me off campus, and I pretty much just like
Wow.
begged to let that, like, I promise, like, I'll be good. Like, this is like, that will like fuck up so much shit if I do get kicked off
Wow.
campus. And they gave me another chance, and I never got in trouble again. I got close to it one
I was
other
gonna
time.
say, yeah. Did you turn it around?
Yeah,
I guess so.
I had to like write an essay and stuff about.
That's for their punishment for everything. It's like write a fucking essay to,
I got in trouble once, junior year, for having a banger at 118 Taft Avenue with me and Luke, and
I don't know if I was there or
it was
heard
like
about
it was a Kappa Sig thing. It was so the house was 3 floors, and every floor was just packed with people, where like you couldn't really walk around. And it also went into the house behind us, which was like Eddie Schultz, Sanji, like Brendan Crossman, all those guys. And our social chair, Doug Gordon, was the one that organized it all. The fraternity fired him as social chair the next day because like there's too much people. There's too many people. It was too good.
Wow.
Like we can't have this again. Because
That's a compliment.
yeah, it was great.
Right?
It was like his crowning achievement at New Haven. But the cops got called because the football team were like trying to get into my neighbor's house thinking it was our house and started a fight with our neighbors.
Just some random West Haven locals. Dude.
Yeah, just some random West Haven locals with like 2 little chihuahuas that like never shut up. But so
They were
the
getting
campus
greedy.
police came and all that. Me and like Luke, I tried to handle it and like it was going well, and then Luke came over and just started. He just wouldn't stop talking, and everything he said, he would repeat it multiple times, and it was always making the situation worse.
Yeah.
And so New Haven's response, this was right before we went to Nashville too.
Oh.
And so they're like, oh, you have to like go to this hearing and all that. And I was like, okay. And they're like, but since it's like the end of semester, we'll just do it in January. And I was like, I'm not going to be here in January. They're like, all right, well, we'll push it off. And so I never thought so I was like, oh, did I just get away with this? Because I didn't hear back from them for a while. And then it's like October of like the semester we're back. And I get an email like, hey, like you have this hearing coming up about something that happened. I was like,
Remember us?
it's like, oh, I forgot. I was like, I forgot they remembered that. And do the hearing, whatever. And they're like, all right, so you have to go to Alcoholics Anonymous and go to like a one-time therapy session.
Were you drunk when you were talking to them?
No, I was pretty sober because I was stressing out because we had like 400 people in our house.
How can they put
But they're like, oh, it was such a bad, well, because the cops were there and they saw like 400 people walk out of the house. And so they're like, yeah, this is serious. And then like I remember like going to this therapy thing and talking about like, oh, on average I have like 2 beers a week. And they're like, you don't drink? And they're like, why did they send you here? Like, this is your
Exactly.
first offense. Like, this is for like people like close to getting like expelled or suspended. And I was like,
For real.
I just threw a great party.
They just assumed that I was
real.
boozing heavy.
Oh my gosh. I wish I was there. Sounds like a banger.
Oh, it was.
Your house party is so good it extended to another house. It's crazy. And almost a third.
Well, the thing was like, our house and like Eddie Schultz and Sanji's house, we shared the same driveway. It was very just. Like, do you remember where Max and Brittany used to live?
Mm-mm.
It was right next to. It was like right next to Mooyah, like next to Yatwoods over there.
Okay.
But
In front of the trap house.
yeah, it was in front
Oh,
of the trap
yes.
house.
Okay. This is when you live just with Luke, right?
Yeah, it was when it was me, Luke, and Veronica.
Okay, well, yes, I didn't want to say, but yes, of course, it extends to that.
But
Okay. I'm jealous, man.
I
I still wish I could have been there. Yeah, I don't know where I was. It's probably next door.
I think you had a crystal clear thing going on.
Oh, probably. When was it? Junior year, you said?
Yeah, it was like November,
Yeah,
junior year.
I doubt it. I doubt it then. That's when we were on the decline.
Oh yeah.
But
Actually, there might have been a mic event that night. But either way,
All right, let's get into more about.
yeah, let's
Steven
start talking about our
DeRose
guests.
Jr.
let's do it.
So, for those who don't know you, where are you from?
I'm from a town called Mamaroneck. It's in New York. It's about 35 minutes from the city. I've been there my whole life, and I've lived in multiple places, but yeah, I don't know. I just started out there, and then it's a boring town. I had to get out there. Everything is handed to you. Everything you need is right there. So I'm just like, I need a change. I need to explore, get to different places. So since being there, I've moved to Jersey. I've moved to Connecticut with school with these guys, and then now Nashville. So I've been here for almost a year now. I moved last October. So I kind of got tricked into moving here. It's a funny story. So my story starts back in senior year of college, actually. It was just downhill for me. Downhill to Rose, right?
Why is that?
Because
well, I mean, his car did get hit and go downhill.
you know what? I didn't even think about that. But yes, that was bad. That was real bad. We lived on a hill. It was terrible. It was so steep. I don't know why we ended up staying there, but whatever. It was so snowy, and the hill was so steep that.
Oh, so I lived on the bottom of the hill, senior year.
So you caught the cars. That car, okay. It was so steep, and the trucks weren't icing the roads, so cars were just sliding down this hill. I didn't see it happen, but what I heard was this guy was trying to go up the hill, and the hill was like, what would you say?
It was probably like a 70-degree
yeah,
slope.
sure.
It was.
Pull out the protractor.
So this guy was going up, lost control. It was so icy, and his back like swerved backwards and hit the end of my car. I was so pissed. So that shit happened. My girlfriend at the time broke up with me. I was dealing with that. And then my birthday was coming up, and then we had COVID, so I didn't get to celebrate with friends. I just had to go home and whatever comes with COVID, you know, everybody knows that. But it was terrible, man. So it's just like, I need something new. And so from there, I moved to Jersey. I got a call from one of her friends back in college, and he's like, do you want to move in with me in Jersey? And which is not too far away from where you grew up. And I was living there for a little bit, and I was still feeling frustrated, you know, because I was just like, I need to get out of this town. I need to try some new things, but I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. And then I figured it out. It was just like I needed to play music, and I'd been in a band with the guys I was living with, and we just weren't making moves, and I wasn't happy, and I wasn't feeling fulfilled. So it's just living there, you know, happy I was away from home, but still unhappy I wasn't doing what I wanted, because that's, you know, Jersey, that's not the scene to be in.
Yeah, you don't want to, especially like that part of New Jersey.
Sure,
where,
it's
like,
the middle. You want to be.
You're too far away to really be part of like the New York scene. You're too far away to be part of like the Philadelphia scene. It's like a 45-minute drive to like Asbury Park.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. That's the closest thing.
So there's like nothing going on, and also like the people in that like local scene that I know, because I grew up in it and all that, like they're just very like conceited, selfish people that they're like, oh, you need to support me because I'm a local artist, but I'm never gonna go out and support any of the other local artists. So it's just very toxic nature.
It's absolutely toxic. It's you hit it like right on the head. You know, I met one of our buddy's friends from that area. The dude was, no joke, exactly like Eddie Munson from Stranger Things. Like the battle jacket, the long hair. He's like, you gotta like metal, that's it. I don't like pop music, like all that bullshit. So I was just like, fuck that. So I don't know. I was living there and upset for a bit. And then I just get a call from our buddy. I'm allowed to name drop.
You
First
can
and
name.
last or just first names?
First names, last names, whatever you want.
Okay, so I got a call from our buddy Ashton, who also did this program with us. And he was like, because he was living here in Nashville, and he was like, dude, I'm joining this band. They're looking for a bass player. I think you should do it. And I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm like, you know, what am I going to do? Drop all my things, go across, you know, the country, or what is it, 13 hours?
Yeah, it's like a 13-hour drive.
Yeah.
Like,
just to join some band, whatever. Long story short, I ended up doing it, and it was a good decision. But it was tough in the moment because I had to really buckle down, and because the guy running the band gave me like 45 songs. I had to learn that shit in like 2 weeks. I had to cram it in. It was crazy, but it was worth it.
and it's all country music, which you were never a fan of.
Exactly. So I got no foundation. I had to start from the beginning. And like, at least if it was rock music, I have, you know, extensive knowledge of rock music and how to play it and techniques and whatever, picking, and I have fun doing that. This was something totally new, and granted, it's super easy.
Yeah.
You know, it's nothing crazy. It's not virtuosic stuff, but it was fine. But it was still a challenge, and I'm glad I did it. I'm really glad, and I'm really proud of myself for moving on a whim, not knowing where this was going to take me, and I'm still playing music, and I'm grateful for it. So I got to thank my buddy Ashton for that. So
Even put out a single recently with this band. This is Kelly Daniels, right?
This is Kelly Daniels. Yes, that's the name of the band. Kelly
Who
Daniels.
we've seen
music.
you guys play
Yeah.
a
We've seen it a few
handful of
times.
times.
Exactly.
It's always an electric performance.
Yes, that's
Keeps you on your toes.
absolutely. That's what I like being a part of. You know, it's better than just being in a band, because I've been in dozens of bands, and you've seen me in a bunch of bands in college, and it's just like, there's one thing to just play songs well, but you know, you got to actually make it a good performance and make people want to come see you every time, you know, because then people can just hear your single and it's just like, oh, it's the same shit. If they're just playing the songs live, what's the point? So really try to make it an electrifying performance.
And I feel like what you're doing though with like mainly covers, because it's just bar bands on Broadway.
For sure.
Where it's just more, I feel like it's more fun or like easier to be in a band like that than some of the other bands like you've been around, just because you don't get, there's no like, oh, we're playing like I wrote the song, we're
Yeah,
playing
there's no
this.
like creative differences.
Right.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, we're just gonna play like these like.
The problem with being in
45 songs.
an original band with your original music is that you have so many cooks in the kitchen, I guess, right? So
Yeah.
everyone has an idea. So then if you're trying to write a song or anything for that matter, you know, any sort of opinion, you have to go through so many different people. With, you know, this band that I'm in now, it's such a great change and something I'm not used to. It's just like pretty much one person calling all the shots, and then when it comes to songs, we're playing covers, so you just listen to the record and you learn it, and that's what you're playing. If you got to change the key, whatever we decide, but that's it. That's the most work that's got to go into it. So it's nice when things are laid out for you and you just got to follow it. So,
And it's also nice because like with Nashville and Broadway, it's every bar and every band is playing the same song. Like
absolutely, there's
it's
a
like the
playlist.
same songs. Like 80% of the songs are all the same. It's like maybe like 5 to 10 that are different. So if like somebody like drops out, like I've seen you guys with like multiple different lineups.
Oh, absolutely. If you know those songs, then you could just hop in with any band, theoretically. I like to say that we play differently, and we've gotten accustomed to each other and how we play with each other and just feed off each other's energies. we do things differently than other bands. You do accents and upbeats and these different things that people don't do. That's what comes with being in a band for an extended period of time, is you pick up these little things and you make these little changes and stuff, which I like. I always would prefer to just play with our own band, but if I needed to fill in with somebody else, I could absolutely do that. So, and I've done that a couple times, responded to some ads, so if people need it.
Yeah, because you had that thing with the original members of Tim McGraw, right?
So what had happened was we had a guitar player filling in for us who was really good, really fucking good.
Was this Chili?
No. That guy's
awesome.
Monster. This guy filled in with us. He was really good, and we wanted him to keep trying out, but he was just not feeling it, and I could tell it was just like above his pay grade, I guess. But he was really humble. He's just super good and whatever. He's a super nice guy, but he's just like, I'm not feeling these songs because you guys are listening to this shit. And it's like the bro country bullshit, the Luke Bryan and stuff.
That's just the stadium country, like
right.
Save a horse, ride a cowboy. She thinks my tractor's sexy.
Yeah.
Life is a highway.
Yeah.
I mean, life is a highway.
That is our closer. So.
It's a great song.
That is what people want to hear on Broadway. That's what tourists want to hear, is those.
Especially with like certain bars are like, hey, this is like our theme. Like these are the songs you're gonna play.
For sure.
Because like going from like AJ's, where it's keep it country.
Yeah, that's.
To then like walk over to like Lucky Bastard Saloon, where it's just rock and roll.
I want to get in there real bad, but it'll come. So that guy, there was a falling out with him, and then he messaged me, and he was like, hey, man, you're a great player, and I'm trying out for this other thing. Maybe you should try out, too. And I was like, oh, it could be cool, whatever. It turns out it was with some of the original members from Tim McGraw's band, which would have been cool. And I ended up doing the audition and stuff and made all the plans and stuff, learned all the songs. Same deal, a bunch of songs, a couple weeks, that's it. I just decided it wasn't for me, just because it would conflict with whatever I already had, and I don't want to ruffle.
No lateral moves.
For sure. I don't know. I don't even know if they're doing anything right now. I don't know if they ever figured it out, but I just didn't want to conflict with my my main gig right now.
So talk about that a little bit more, of like what you guys do, like on like say in 1 week, like what you guys usually do.
So it really depends. Right, my schedule's been all over the place. Like different months, it changes. Right, the busy season is in the summer, obviously, so it picks up at the beginning of May, end of April when it starts to get warmer out. But in the winter, it was completely dead. Had no gigs. So the bars weren't booking us at all, because they were just giving the bands that have been playing for years and they know. Put on a good show. They're not trying to be experimental. They don't want to, try anything crazy. So when it starts getting warmer, then they're like, okay, you have, let these other guys fill in, whatever. They start giving us better slot, whatever. So at one point we were playing 5 days a week on Broadway, which was awesome, right? You get your base pay money and then you get whatever people want to contribute as tips, which was nice. Now we're doing 2 or 3 on Broadway, but it's the summer, so now we're on tour doing shows in the Midwest. So we take out our tour bus and we start playing gigs over there. So whenever we're not doing gigs out there, we're playing on Broadway. So we basically have a residency at Alan Jackson's bar, which is where you guys have seen us play before. Mm-hmm. And I love it there, so.
I just like Al Jackson's because it's like just a very compact bar.
Yeah, I like it.
So it always looks busy.
These other bars, it's hard playing there because they only give their veteran bands the main stage, which is normally on the first floor. So it's like, if you're a really good band playing on the main stage, there's no reason for people to venture upwards, right? And that's where we would be playing is second and third floor because, they don't want to get rid of the bands that they know do a great job. So we were upset about that, but it's like, I get it. We haven't been there that long. but it's like you obviously have a better time. You have more energy from the crowd. You get more people. You get better pay. So then at Alan Jackson's, it's a total turnaround. It's nice because there's only one stage, really, which is the main stage, and you get the foot traffic. There's a window outside, too. Mm-hmm. We get a bunch of people looking in the window, coming in.
I always see you. Like, when I'm in line, for some reason, I get like you and Ashton to turn around, and I'll be like, yo.
Yeah, that's always part of it, is trying to get people in from off the streets. It's half of it. You're looking forward to the people. You're looking in the back. There's also, they do a live stream there, too, so I look at the camera, too, when stupid shit happens. I like laugh or something. So
when that like mom came up and took a picture,
that was incredible. Yeah, that was incredible.
We have that video.
You have it?
I have a couple.
I gotta see that. That was so funny.
I'll just look through real quick.
That she was just like, "Can I get up on stage?" I was like, "We didn't even start yet. What do you want to do, lady?" It was so funny.
That was
funny. She was digging it. They ended up coming back the next night because we played back to back. Over there. It was so funny. And then I think she was hammered the first night because she didn't remember me at all the next night. So.
Really? She was just like treated you like you're a brand new person.
She is shaking it. Wow.
Send this to Julie, be like, I was gonna send it to Julie, be like,
keep
track of your man.
Oh my God. What's really impressive though about like seeing you guys play is you're playing for 4 hours and you don't get a break.
No, it's a marathon, dude. I get one break, and that's if we decide to play a slow song. And everyone just knows that it's just like, okay, if we're playing this acoustic song, this ballad type, that I have like 45 seconds to run to the bathroom, go do my stuff, and then come back for the last chorus. I got to come back on. That's all I get is a couple verses break. So it's crazy. Yeah, and I have the heavy bass on me all night, so I'm like breaking my back all night. It's crazy, but it's fun, and I try to jump around and stuff, get people into it, do little bits. So
yeah, because I said like everybody, like you and Ashton play all 4 hours.
Yeah.
Everybody else probably averages around like 2.5, 3 hours.
Pretty much bass and drums. That's it. Holding it down for
rhythm section.
That's it. That's what you need in a good band, is a solid section.
What's like the most amount of tips you've gotten in a night? Because I remember there was one time I saw you guys where somebody just dropped like $200 in the bucket, like right away.
You know what's crazy is I thought I was like so smart, and I was taking other gigs at the same time. I took this one gig. It was out on the road. It was in Iowa, which at first we were like, Iowa, what the hell is out there? Like, what are we doing this for? But afterwards we were like, oh, it's totally worth it. But of course, while we were away, they ended up making over $500 each. And I was so pissed because, normally we average like 150, 200 a night. 500 each? It's unheard of. It's crazy. I was so upset. But we ended up having a good time, and it was worth it. But, it varies from night to night. All it takes is just one drunk idiot to just keep throwing bills in. That's it.
I always try to egg like the really drunk people. Be like, "Yo, go tip them. Go tip them."
Yeah. You know what? I don't expect like my friends to tip at all, right? I'm happy you guys are there, and that's all that matters to me, right? But just having more people there, having a good time, then will motivate other people to also have a good time, and then hopefully tip, right? Yeah. So I'm grateful anytime you guys are there.
Of course, we're always showing out, and it's usually when like we've had people in town too that we'll bring with us.
For sure.
It's always a lit time.
It was so funny because I played with Steve a little bit in the studio, and I was like, this is so not his scene. It was it was so funny. And then I remember I was on stage, and we were talking, and nobody knew what song to play. And then somebody was like, oh, how about Cruise? And then me and him like made eye contact, and I shrugged, and we were both cracking up. I was like, you got to do it. You got to play these bullshit songs, these boring ass songs that people want to hear, but it's so funny.
Nah, he was happy that night because him and Joe ended up getting on stage at because Joe Moran knows some band that plays that second fiddle, and so they both went up and played like
second
2 songs.
Fiddle. That's like an old school country bar.
Yeah.
Wow. What were they playing?
They did. I think it was Highway to Hell.
Okay, that makes sense because I don't know what. There's some line. Old country guys love AC/DC.
Oh, I mean,
it's like, I don't know, the lines between rock and
I saw something on like Twitter the other day. It was like songs that turn it up a notch. And
no matter what,
like no matter where you are. And it was like half the list was just AC/DC,
Absolutely.
and AC/DC rocks.
We only have one AC/DC
Yeah,
song.
they
in
played
our
like
set.
Highway to Hell, and I don't remember the second one.
I'm low-key trying to get Joe to be my understudy whenever
Oh, yeah.
which would be sick, right? I just give him all the songs that I know how to play, and then if he learns it, that'd be great. If I'm unavailable, I'm like, I know a guy. Don't scramble. Like this guy, I know he's looking for work, and I know he's really good. I've seen him before. It would be
He's played in
great.
bands.
Yeah, it'd be great to just pass it along, you know.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
And then I know the band's in good hands. It's perfect. So,
We just need to get an understudy for Ashton.
dude, I know. Well, we actually have one. He's
We gotta
away.
recruit Steven Rago
Yeah,
down here.
dude. I say it all the time. Best metal specific drummer I've ever played with is him. It's awesome. Like crazy on the double bass shit. You know, it's awesome. So
He's a man. Love him. We just had him on the pod. We had Joe on the
Yeah.
pod
Oh.
before that.
I think the best thing was when they were all down here. Jeff, like the bigger guy we were friends with, he was just telling people, was like, yeah, like Danny, that's my dad.
Danny, my singer.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because we were just like, yeah, like we were just like going off, and he's like, and somebody like looked, like some woman like looked at us like we were like crazy because we were just like hyping you guys up, and he goes, "That's my dad."
I can see it. I can see it.
We're like, oh, that's so cute.
What
Gotta
a
support
supportive
the fam.
family.
Yeah. That's funny, man. He was a riot. So funny.
Yeah, we always have a good time coming to see you guys.
Absolutely.
And then there was the one time where we put like 20 stickers on
Oh.
Joe's back.
Oh my, I was cracking up. I saw that shit from the stage. I was laughing. It was funny.
He had no idea.
Yeah,
And then he found out at the next bar, right?
Kev
Yeah,
told
well, I
him,
told him like in the stream, bro. I was like, Joe, like, because I was worried that like
you can't walk into another
if you just
bar.
walk in the bar like that, like, you're not coming.
Yeah, they'll know.
Because like, so I found out about doing that from like my brother and his friends at the shore, because they'd be at like Bar A in Belmar, and they would just do that with all the Bud Light bottles, and like, because it's like a crowded bar, so everybody's like walking through, like bumping into each other, going places. So they would just start putting on like random people, and just keep a tally of how many they did, and
That's
just
ballsy.
Wow.
It's one thing where it's like you just know Joe's so drunk he just doesn't even notice. You can just tell
Yeah.
by the look in his eyes.
yeah, they'd be
that he
like,
doesn't
oh,
know.
like, you know, like put the hands on my shoulder, be like, excuse me, like I'm going through. And
That's
it's just
funny.
hysterical.
Is
I
Bar
love it.
A, that's the really big one?
Yeah, that's like the one that has like cabanas in it.
I feel like that's the place I'm thinking of. I went there.
It's like right across from DJ's.
The only thing I know about is that you have to take a like a shuttle of some sort
Oh,
to
like
get
the
there.
the Squan taxi.
Sure. Yeah, I think so. Is that the double decker?
No, I don't think so.
I think I ended up there, but waited in line maybe an hour and a half.
Oh, it's a long line.
Yeah, it was great. It was like,
Yeah.
this was, I don't remember when it was exactly, but so many people, like 500 people in line for this one club.
Oh, and
I
it's
was
like a $20 cover.
yeah. So, you know, we waited in this line. It was so hot. We were drenched by the time we got there. I'm wearing basketball shorts. They didn't even let me in.
Oh,
I was
yeah,
pissed.
it's,
I was so pissed. And then, you know, I was with a big group of people I had just met. And I was like, I can't go in. And then they were nice enough to just be like, nah, fuck this place. We'll hang out with you. So I was like, yeah, sweet.
Yeah, because I always end up going because my brother has a shore house in Manasquan, which is like the town below Belmar, and so I'd go visit him. We would go to Leggett's, which is like the bar like right down the street from
I
his
know
house.
that place. That's
Yeah, I love Leggett's. It's the best.
well, not like it's just the area.
Yeah.
Menace.
Yeah, so
I
he has a
didn't know
house
that.
on like in Manasquan, like on I think this year they're on First Ave. This year his house is a total shit show.
There's
So-
a Wawa right across the street, right?
no, they're like right on the beach.
So maybe it's bigger then.
But so like his first time he did was 3 years ago, where it was like him and like 12 other guys, like 4-bedroom house, 4-bedroom, 2-bath house. Last year it was him and 8 total people in a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. And this year I think it's 10 people, 5 guys, 5 girls, 1 bath.
Wow.
And it's just,
that's chaos.
oh, it's chaotic. It's incredible. But yeah, in Manasquan, there's Leggett's and Osprey, which are fun. My cousin got kicked out of Osprey once when he was visiting for, instead of like walking around the stage to go to everybody, he just decided to just slide across it. And they saw that and were like,
this guy's too cool. We got to kick him
they're
out.
like, you can't stay here after doing
Wow.
that. But so we always go to Belmar, like at the end of the night,
Sure.
and they have the fast pass, so they get to like skip the line. We all pay the $20.
There's a fast pass for that?
Yeah.
I thought that shit was only for like Universal Studios
No,
and stuff.
it's
That
For
have
Six
rides.
Flags.
Right,
yeah,
for
like,
rides and stuff?
like the shore bars.
They're
they
doing
have,
that
like,
for
They'll do
bars
like a
now?
fast pass where
That's crazy.
it's like $100 for the season, and then you get to like, it's like instead of like a hour line, it's like a 15-minute line.
Do they have like a double line? Like there's a rope. It's like this is
I
for
think
regular
so,
people
yeah.
and this is for.
I'm pretty sure.
That's crazy.
But yeah, like,
that's insane.
but I always hate it there though because I see everybody from my high school,
I bet.
and it's always just very awkward because like I haven't thought of or seen you in 5 years now.
Sure.
But anyway, so let's get back on topic here.
Where are we at?
I don't know.
So let's talk about our time at New Haven a little bit.
Okay. Sure.
How did you end up like just with your chair? So Steve had this big giant chair that he just brought into our dorm room. And because we would always just hang out, play video games, and just make music. And I remember there was one day where me and Jake, we both woke up, and Steve was just sleeping in the chair in our dorm.
Is it? I think your door was unlocked.
Was it?
I just came up. I was, I guess, fed up with the people in my suite, and I came up. I was just like, I want to spend the night, chill with my bros.
My favorite moment of freshman year, though, was definitely you stealing Tyler's McDonald's when he was on acid.
I don't remember if
It was
I did
you and
it.
Carlos.
I don't know if I did it on purpose, or I just, I feel like I told people it was an accident, but I feel like I really knew whose it was. I knew it wasn't mine. That's all I knew. But I was hungry, so instead I ended up eating his McDonald's. I guess.
The one that he flipped out.
I don't know. It was so funny. They were like freaking out. They were looking under chairs and stuff. Like,
Oh.
have you seen my burger? Or
Oh, it was awful because I remember I was down there like just kind of hanging out, and this was all going on. And I remember seeing Steve take the McDonald's back and go upstairs. And I was like, I'm not a rat. Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, Steve has it.
I appreciate
So
that.
I was just letting them look around for it, and I was like, eventually, I was like, Tyler, like, let's just go back to McDonald's and just get some more food.
Yeah, because it's McDonald's. They forget
he-
shit all the time.
Yeah,
right?
I was like, you probably just left it at McDonald's. And so we just went back, and everything was all right for like a month. And then I finally was like, oh yeah, remember the McDonald's thing? That was Steve.
Oh, you told him? What did he say?
He was like, who cares?
Oh, good. You know, I thought he was a good guy. We got along. I know he kind of rubbed some people the wrong way, but we got along.
No,
So-
he was always funny, Dad. But yeah, so there's that whole suite freshman year, and then sophomore year, it was me and Steve lived together in Winch 115.
So that was
with our other friends, Jake, Ken, Jeff, and Noah. That was
Is it right?
Wild.
It was.
it was a tale of 2 semesters.
That year is such a blur for me because so much happened. It was.
So the first semester, everything was going pretty good, like the first month. And then the dishes.
Yeah.
So like I have a peanut allergy, and I remember
The man could die.
I could die.
He could die.
And our roommates were always making peanut butter and jelly, not really like cleaning the utensils well, and just putting them back in the drawer. So there'd be like specks of peanut butter and stuff like still on like the knives.
We didn't have a dishwasher or anything.
We didn't have a dishwasher. It was all hand washing. So like they just weren't very good at it. And I remember like I was like, hey guys, can we like do better at this because I'll die? And they're like, just clean it yourself. Like it's not that big of a deal. I was
No,
like,
I'll die if I touch it.
no, but like it's like I don't want to have to like inspect every knife before I use it.
Is it like if you touch it?
No, it's just if I eat it.
Okay.
But I was like,
But still, you know, I don't think that's too much to ask.
Yeah. So that was going on. And then our one roommate and this girl he was seeing, they weren't dating yet, but she wanted to date him. So she never really like left the apartment, and she slept on her couch for like a month straight. I remember she started like eating my food because she was too high and forgot if it was hers or not. So she assumed it was hers.
Right, that's when it becomes an
The
issue.
place
Right?
you
That's when it started
Yeah.
things started becoming an issue.
It's just like, okay, if we have guests over, that's fine. That's one thing. You could spend a couple nights, but then it's just like, okay, if you're doing the things that people who live here do, then you know, then it's an issue. So,
And so things are like getting pretty heated at the end of that first semester, and then we all went on break, and it's like, all right, things cooled down, everything was fine. And then the week before we moved back in, we get an email from Res Life, which is just, hey, there was a leak and there's a little bit of water damage in your apartment. Everything should be fine for you when you guys move in, like move back on campus. And we're like, okay, like we're like, all right, well that's kind of weird. Don't really know what's happened, but like they didn't say any of our stuff was ruined or any of that. And so we're like, all right, so it should be fine. Then I think it was the day before we moved back in, where they're like, hey, so we have to like repair all the drywall and like do all this stuff. You guys, we're splitting you up and moving you guys into Sheffield.
Yep.
And so then it was just me, Steve, and Jake in one dorm.
Which is, you know, we were already living together anyway in
Yeah.
that room, so it just made sense to break off like
and
that.
it worked out pretty well. There's no problems.
Yeah.
But I just remember they just took everything that we left in our apartment and just threw it all in giant bags and just stuffed it in one dorm room.
It was terrible.
And they're like, hey, you guys got to go through all your stuff and like move back into like a whole new suite and get like resettled. And the semester starts tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a lot. I remember I was fortunate enough to not have any of my stuff ruined, but one of our roommates had like records and shit, like stuff that can't be replaced, like water damage will
original
destroy.
pressings.
Yeah, water damage will destroy that stuff. So
I remember
terrible.
it took us like a month to get like reimbursed from the school.
Mm-hmm.
And
it kind of, you know what, it was I would say a blessing.
Yeah,
in
it was a
disguise.
blessing because it worked out. Cause
yeah, it worked. I feel like we would have killed each other if we ended up staying that.
oh yeah,
It was a cool setup, but it's just like 6 people, you know. There's
Winch is my favorite place to like live at on campus. I think.
you know what, I always confused the two. I don't remember, just because that year is just one big, you know.
yeah.
One
Winch was
mess to me,
fun.
so.
It was just
We were in Winch first or Sheffield first?
we were in Winch first.
Okay.
Winch was the one with like the hardwood floors,
Yes, that's right. Okay.
and then we went to Sheffield, which had all the carpets, and that's when we really started hanging out with like Ashton and Jove more, playing Settlers of Catan,
Yep.
prison rules.
A lot of long nights playing board games of all shapes and sizes. It was fun.
And then we also all found out we got into Nashville,
Yep.
and then
A lot of big news.
yeah, a lot of things happened that year. Then me and Steve went to the Nashville program together. We had the same exact class schedule,
Yep.
the same exact internship, the same internship schedule.
Yep. same opportunities. Remember we sat in on that session? It was cool.
Sound session. You got to interview
the guitar player from Korn.
Yeah, the guitar player from Korn.
Yeah, it was sick. It was sick.
We got to see Spencer get yelled at a lot.
Yeah. Poor guy.
So how was that experience for you?
You know what?
Just
it was
overall, like, internship and Blackbird.
Blackbird, I've just always left a bad taste in my mouth, and it could be, I'm biased for saying this because I really wanted Blackbird for some reason. Ended up not wanting to do the studio stuff anyway, but in the beginning I was like, you know what, I'm gonna like travel down there, scope it out, and I'm gonna do an interview in person. Maybe that'll look better. Like it shows, this guy's got initiative. He came all this way to actually come to the place before just doing a phone interview. Ended up not getting it. It was fine. Soundstage was way better. I had a better experience there. It was a smaller studio, more down-to-earth people, it seemed like. No shade at them, but it just feels like when you have less people working, it just,
Closer sense of community.
For sure, yeah. There's less egos and whatever, and it just, I had a great experience. I couldn't have asked for a better experience. Even though I didn't end up doing the studio stuff, it worked out because I knew this is the place I wanted to be. And I was like, you know what, maybe down the road I'll move down here for something music related. I knew during the internship I didn't want to do studio stuff anymore. And, it's tough because they don't offer really.
It's like for the music and sound recording internship, it's just studio work.
For sure. And, it was fine. In college, I learned some stuff. I'm glad I have that knowledge, but it's so hard to get into studios. Like, out of all the people I know, only a couple are in right now, and then half of them did something else because it's so hard to get into. It's such a, I don't know, so much comes with it, and you got to have so much prior knowledge, and it's all about luck and, the relationships you make and whatnot. So
and being fine with like not ever having like a truly set schedule.
For sure.
That's the thing that like I always bothered me. That was like, I could be like really busy like these 2 weeks, and then like dead for like a next month.
Yeah,
and then
it's tough. It really. You know what? This hasn't happened to me, but I have a buddy who's got his name on some stuff, some professional grade stuff, and I'm sure it's very fulfilling and rewarding and stuff to finally, put in all those hours and all that hard work and stuff. So finally get your name on something, I'm sure is a great feeling, but
yeah,
it's just not for me. Would
you ever want to do like session musician work?
I've thought about it, but it's so hard to get into as well. Like all the people we've met through this program, we've had guest speakers come in and stuff. They're all like veterans. They're old. They've been playing it for years, and they just got the system down, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's hard for, newcomers to sneak in because you have these studios, if you put up me versus someone who's been doing this for years, they're obviously going to go with the guy who's been doing it so they don't have any issues, you know? So I don't know. If the opportunity was given to me, I would try to take it. I also can't read like sheet music. I know number systems, and I know that's what the studio guys use, but I don't know. I just feel like I'm behind, and if I really wanted to do that, I'm sure I could do it if I set my mind to it and worked hard on it, but I don't know. I'm just happy with where I'm at right now.
Yeah, you're in a good spot right now, for sure.
Like you said before, like earlier, you were saying that you're proud that you got to where you are.
Yeah. You know what? When I was in Jersey, all I would do was play music, playing along to records, learning entire songs, whatever, just developing my ear. And, I wasn't getting any work musically then. And, I wasn't made fun of, but like my roommates were like, dude, why are you not like working hard, with an actual job and making money and stuff? And at the time I was just doing Uber Eats stuff, anything I could do to, make my own schedule and whatever, just to pay the bills. So instead of saving up a ton of money, I was just practicing. And you know what? If the same opportunity was given to those guys, I don't think they would be able to handle it just because the practice wasn't behind it. And I was just practicing, just making sure I was up to date on my playing and making sure I was as good as I could be. and stuff. I never stopped playing since college, you know, and I've been in bands with those guys. No shade at them, but, you know, life gets in the way. But I just kept with it, and I feel like that's really why I'm doing this right now. And I think I don't want to, you know, to my own horn or anything, but I feel like I'm in a league that's different from a lot of these fill-in players, because I could do these things like I was saying before. You have to listen to these little nuances that other people in the band got to do and stuff like that, like these upbeats and accents and whatever it is, or the singer trying to do these dynamic changes or whatever. It's just these things you pick up, and I feel like I do that well instead of just playing the song and getting through the song and whatever. It's not about that. It's about the performance.
Yeah, we're trying to like heighten the performance.
For sure. That's what it's all about, you know?
That's, I guess, the good thing is about playing all these songs that you get to know them so well that it gives you that opportunity to like get better at it or try something different. Or,
you know, I've learned so many songs in these past few months that it just makes learning new songs even easier, right? Because if you have to learn these things by ear and you're, you know, I'm not looking up the tabs or anything. I'm trying to do it by ear because it really forces you to get in your head and then get these muscle memory things down and like these different shapes and stuff, and you have it in your fingers. So then when you hear it, I'm like, oh, I know exactly where that is. It's like, you know, I know the intervals, whatever. So just constantly doing that just makes you a better musician. I feel like that's what I'm all about.
And I feel like with like our program, like our class, like I'd say like you, Ashton, and like Adam, you guys are just happy to play like anything. And you're always listening to different genres, different music. Whereas like a lot of people we went to school with, they wouldn't come down to Nashville to play country music because they're like, oh, I hate country. I'm never going to like it. I'm never going to play it. And if it's not what I want to play, I'm just not going to do it at all.
I feel like people are born with that, honestly.
Yeah.
I hate country music, right? I feel like everybody hates country music until you actually sit down with it and then enjoy it.
The only person that I know that liked country music from New Haven was Country Rebecca.
Well, it's in her name, bro.
it's her first name.
And she like dropped
Metal
that.
Rebecca.
See, the names we had like freshman year, because we had like in the same suite there's like two Rebeccas, and one of them was a country musician. So we're like, oh, country. We have Rebecca, Country Rebecca.
Right.
And then we had.
Oh, I'm not gonna say it, but you could say the next
I'll
one.
say
I know.
Well, I mean, because he introduced himself as this.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we had like in Steve's suite freshman year, we had
I already know
two kids. We had Corey. We had two Corys. One of them was homosexual, and he just was like, "Oh, well, I'll just go by Gay Corey."
He embraces it. Good for
and
him.
he embraced it. And
I didn't know that he embraced it. I thought it was a, you know, we're gonna.
No, I
make
thought he
fun of this
embraced
guy.
it.
Okay, I had no
I
idea.
thought he was the one that like came up with it.
I
If I'm, I could be.
I don't know.
If I'm wrong,
I didn't know.
I'm sorry.
I didn't know the guy that well. You know, always nice. I try
Always
to be
a good
nice.
guy.
I always try to be nice to whomever because you don't know, but we just never, you know.
You never know what anyone's
for sure.
doing.
And it's not like you're expecting anything in return, but it's just like it's always nice to be nice to people. But I never had a relationship with the guy, so I never knew how it went down. So I don't know.
I still think the funniest thing was Brian Platt always yelling, playing video games in that suite. And then there was like the one day where him and Luke got into it.
Really?
Because he was just, it was like 2 a.m, and he was just like yelling about some game. And Luke was just not like banging on his door, like, shut the fuck up.
I don't remember that. I gotta ask him. Me and Brian have been hanging out recently.
Yeah, so I know he moved down.
Yeah, he moved.
I reached out to him and he just never responded.
Oh, well,
So
shout
I
out
was like,
Brian.
Shout out Brian. You're a snake.
Oh my God.
We lived together. We went to Rockies all the time together.
No,
I texted you if you wanted to get Rockies, and you just never responded to me.
He's trying to grind. He's still trying to settle in and stuff.
Oh, yeah,
so.
no, I feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, we like finally just settled in, and it's 4 months in.
Right? That's how it goes. Yeah. That's how it goes, for real.
Like, there's still people, like, I know down here that I have to reach out to and meet up
Yeah, we
with.
still got to reach out to, like, Official,
Yeah.
Jay.
Are you guys trying to do something? I might hop on that. That's
Yeah.
I haven't done anything with those guys, but
Yeah,
I'm really bad.
Yeah,
at
I'm bad at reaching out to people.
It's hard, you know.
well, we're all in a spot where we need to be focusing on ourselves. So it's
Absolutely.
Yeah, like when you were living like 20 minutes away from me in Jersey, I only saw you like once, and that was at.
And that was by accident. That was
Yeah, so right before I moved to Nashville, I went to see Spider-Man: Far From Home with one of my like best friends from home at like our local movie theater in Manville, New Jersey. And I posted on my story afterwards, like, "Oh, this movie sucked, like 5 out of 10." And Steve responds, "It's like, are you in Manville right now?" And I was like, "Yeah, well, like, why? What's up?" And then he just walked over to us.
It was like a couple rows behind me. It was
Yeah, I was
so
like
funny.
3 rows to the left behind Steve, Julie, Jake, Richie, Maribeth. I was like, "Oh, what's up, guys?"
That's so funny.
They had something similar happened to me where me and my buddy went to go see, I think it was Uncut Gems when it was in theaters, and my cousin and his wife just walked in.
Wow.
And sat like right like in this row in front of us, and I was like, "What's good?" Yeah, what up?
Did you like it? The movie?
Oh, Uncut Gems was
That's
great.
awesome.
I haven't seen it yet.
I've seen it like
What?
I heard it's like the perfect movie.
I
for me.
haven't seen it. Yeah, for you.
seen
Yes.
it like 2 or 3 times,
All right.
and it was awesome.
I've only seen bits and pieces. But
Soundtrack is like very like funky, trippy.
Yeah. It's so funny because Adam Sandler is one of those guys that I just can't take him away from those goofy roles that he had in the past. It's just to see him in a serious role.
Yeah.
I mean, it worked.
I
He
kind
killed
of,
it.
I like low key hate Adam Sandler as an actor.
Really?
I think all like most.
Because he's the same character in all
It's the
his
same
movies.
character in all the movies, and they're all like, he has this weird like accent in all of them, and it just.
I love Adam Sandler.
He's funny.
But he's made that point where he just makes terrible movies and just puts all his friends in them, and it makes millions at the box office. So like,
That's what I'm trying to do.
That's
one
it,
day.
right?
Oh
my gosh.
I would.
This
love
is
to
where
do
it
that.
begins, you know?
Yeah.
That's
But-
funny.
Oh man, that is a great movie though, and I thought it was awesome.
I get
and
it.
also, what's her name? Fucking
Kanye's ex.
yeah, what's her name? Fucking
I don't know.
think of it right
I don't
now.
know.
Julia Fox. She got a fat ass dude in that movie. Oh, well, I don't know. She seems skinnier now, honestly.
She's weird.
Yeah,
She's
she
weird.
is weird.
Oh yeah.
That eyeliner shit.
The eyeliner
Oh,
thing.
is she the Uncut Gems?
Yeah,
is that her?
yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
That whole meme.
Wow. Okay, now it makes sense.
Yeah, she's fine in that movie.
That's funny.
Oh,
I gotta step my movie game up. We gotta see Thor still,
Yeah, we got to see Thor.
just to see it.
I saw they're putting
Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
Everything-
Are you into Marvel movies?
Not really. I've seen like a handful of them, but I have not like seen them all in order or.
It's
all
tough
of
to do them all in order.
I remember
Somewhere.
it was in Sheffield. It was right before when Infinity War
I was
came
gonna
out. where
say, yeah.
You, me, and Jake, we went through the chronological order.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's crazy when they add more stuff. It edits the whole timeline. You can't. How are you gonna do that? It's crazy.
One of my favorite memories from the Nashville program was when you, me, Jake, Ashton, Ryan all went to see Infinity War. And
That was here, right?
yeah, that was here. That was in Nashville. And spoiler warning, but it's been a while now. You should know about it. Thanos wins, and like half of the characters all die, and one of them was Spider-Man. And I remember Jake like on the verge of tears because Spider-Man's his guy, and I just everybody's just like shell shocked at it, like speechless, no idea what to think. 'Cause
Jaws on the
floor.
floor.
Jaws on the floor. We gotta wait
Yeah.
another year to find out what happens here. And I walk out of the theater, I'm immediately like unfazed to be like, guys, I have some theories about what happened. And Ash is like, Kevin, shut up, read the room.
So
I got some
funny.
theories.
Still?
No, not anymore.
Were they right?
I was close.
What were they?
It was definitely that. It wasn't that they go back in time. It was that they get the gauntlet back from Thanos and bring everybody back. Then they do like everybody 1versus 100 it.
Yeah.
But
That was an event, man. That was crazy.
so what's next for Stephen DeRose Jr.?
What's next?
They say
Like-
you were saying you were not really interested in working in the studio. So like, what would your like future goals, or what would your like dream future look like for you?
Well, let me take it back. I don't want to not work in a studio. I don't want to work in a studio under somebody else, or like, I would want to do my own stuff at my own pace and get my own sounds, because I'm all about experimenting and stuff. And I've always wanted to put together a record. That was my whole goal. That was like the draw factor for me moving in with those guys in Jersey. We were like, yeah, we're going to make a record. It's going to be sick. We're all musicians. We got bass, drums, guitar, vocals. We got everything, right? Everything you need for a record ended up not happening. That's okay. Life gets in the way, but I've always wanted to do that because I've had my name on some projects, and there are a lot of things that I've done that I'm not necessarily proud of now. At the time, of course, when you put anything out, you're super proud. It's like you wouldn't be putting it out if you didn't think it was good, But I'm sure you even have music out that is old, and you're like, oh man, I would have done something differently then.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right?
But it's good to see the progression.
Yeah, exactly. For me, some stuff is like, no offense, I can't even listen to it anymore, and I don't know if it's myself or the other people I've played with, but it's just like I want something that I've done that I'm just super proud of, and I'm not quite there yet, and I'm still working on my own ideas and stuff. I don't have it in me to do my own stuff. I need to collaborate with other people because I have so many ideas, but nothing cohesive, and I need other people to help me get those ideas out and then bring them to life. But that's what I want to do is work on my own stuff, collaborate with whomever, and just be happy with my work. That's it. Just double check it, not rush to get anything out. I feel like that's a big problem nowadays is people just want to push stuff, and it's just quantity over quality, And I get it. You have to be on top of the game with singles and stuff to get people engaged and stuff. And especially with TikTok culture now, it's all out the window. So much crazy shit happening.
But like if you're not putting out I think it's like Niles' boy, like Don DeMenace, puts out like a new track every Tuesday.
That's crazy. That's crazy to me.
And and I can never imagine.
If they're all good for them. It's just it's hard to keep that up.
Yeah, but it's like the TikTok culture. Like you need like a new single like once a week, it seems, because people just forget about the new one and be like, all right, what's next?
It's crazy. And then you have the algorithm that works against you. It's so random.
Yeah.
Sometimes people view your shit, sometimes they don't. It's nuts, but that's where I want to be. That's what I want to do is actually get stuff on TikTok, but I don't want to just put content out just to put it out. I want to be happy with it, make sure I have the right equipment. And I know you got to find a balance between just actually doing it and then just thinking about it, because if you just think about it forever, you're not going to put anything out. Same mentality goes with me wanting to do something out in Jersey with my music career versus actually stepping out and doing it. So I just got to get to it. That's really it. I'm just going to keep busy with these gigs, save up some money, get more equipment, keep practicing, get better at the instrument, hopefully network with people more, and just try to bang out some music. That's really all I want to do.
Yeah.
So would you also say that like during like especially like graduating college, pandemic and all that, and you were like unsure about a lot of things, like you were struggling, you think like music is that one thing that like helped like keep you
that stayed
focused?
Constant throughout that entire thing? That's really what kept me sane the entire time. Like I said, I was dealing with a lot of stuff at the time, but that was what just stayed constant. When I was home, when we were quarantining, I was at the height of my playing. I was so fucking good, but nobody heard it because I wasn't recording it. I was just keeping at it every day. It's just, the discipline was there. I just kept doing it every single day. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to dedicate 3-4 hours to it. It was just like, it felt good doing it, and I wanted to do it every day because there's nothing else to do. And I feel like that's what I'm missing now. It's like now that I have a job doing music, I'm not doing the stuff that I want to do musically and like playing the stuff I want to play or whatever. So it's like now I feel it's harder for me to pick up the instrument and do other things other than work, because it's just like I'm spending so much time working, playing the instrument. So, but for sure, I wouldn't be where I am now if it weren't for music in general, So
I feel you, man. The music got me through every tough time
Absolutely.
in my life, and also just making music or playing it is, therapeutic in a way.
Absolutely. There's no better feeling. Like I was going back to putting out stuff. It's just like there's nothing better than it being out there for the first week and people hear it and and people say good things about it. There's nothing better than that.
Yeah.
I feel like, right? Like your first week. I know you're dropping something
This
Saturday.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Well, it'll already be out by the time you're watching
Oh, okay.
this.
It'll be out then.
Garden of Eden with my boy Callie
Stream it.
Sipping
All
on
streaming
Bacardi.
at this party.
But you know what I'm saying? Like when you first put something out, there's no better feeling, right?
Yeah.
It's great. And
We've been working on this for like pretty much like since I started the podcast. Like this song
Yeah.
has been in the works and just making it sound as
Because I remember
good
you've
as
been
we can.
playing it since we moved down here.
Yeah, it's been like close to ready since then, and now it's just like there are probably a few things that we could do to make it even better, but at a certain point, like
Absolutely.
being a perfectionist is like
At some point, it gets detrimental to the
Yeah. I
product
agree.
because
Yes.
you just gotta eventually put it out.
For
but
sure.
and move on to other ideas because I even say the same thing all the time about my first album. Listening to it now, there's a lot that could have been better about it, but then I went on to make songs that I think are better than any of the songs
For
that
sure.
were on there.
Albums are cool, especially when they're your own. They're like a timestamp.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? It's like that's who I was at that time. That's why the things we did are going on. It's like, okay, this was the instrument I was using at the time, or this is how I was feeling, so that's why I wrote something like this, or we didn't have the equipment. It's cool.
Yeah,
It's a
even
timepiece.
going back to like what you said about like not being able to listen to some of the older stuff
Yeah.
you do, and
Yeah.
I did that recently. Like I listened to some of my older stuff, even just a year ago, and it's like I am glad that I made those songs. That obviously, like I said, it's therapeutic, helped me work
For
through
sure.
those feelings and emotions. But at the same time, like I'm like, damn, it's a little cringy.
No, it's
and
all
I'm
good.
like,
It's
some
a-
of it.
it's
and
a learning
Well, like,
experience.
yeah,
That's
that
it.
happens to I think all creatives, all musicians, because I remember seeing that Paramore stopped playing Misery Business at all their shows because
Sure.
she was just like, hey, I'm not that person anymore.
Yeah. And I you know what? That takes a lot too, because
Yeah.
one of their biggest songs.
That's the song.
Yeah, and that's who she was at that time, and then she's like, I don't agree with those lyrics.
Yeah.
I think it's the lyrics, right?
Yeah, I think it was the lyrics. It's I don't agree with it anymore. I don't feel that way. And I'm sure for everybody, as years go on, you start to feel that with all your music.
For sure. That's tough too, because that's them not being a sellout, which is great, and they're sticking, they're being true to themselves, and
instead of doing what's popular.
for sure.
I think the whole sellout thing though is I think it's such BS, because you talk to anybody, it's if I could these songs I made years ago, if I could just play them for the rest of my life and make millions, every single person would be like, yes, I would do that.
Yeah. It's that's why you play music in the first place. It's just, maybe everyone's idea of being successful is different, right? But
Yeah.
wouldn't you want your stuff to be heard? It's okay, if you're a musician or a vocalist and you hear music, don't you want to, that's what got you into it. It's hearing other people do it. So it's selling out is, if that's getting your music out to people, then
Yeah.
that makes zero sense, because you wouldn't even be, you know what I mean? You wouldn't be doing that. It doesn't
I
make
don't know
sense.
anybody that's oh, I want to go into music to be a musician's musician that only a small amount of people know, but I'm great at it. No, everybody's every bass is I want to be Flea.
That's what I wanted to do. That's how I started.
Every hip hop artist is I want to be Wiz, I want to be Kanye, I want to be Jay-Z, any of the legends. Every singer's I want to be Freddie Mercury.
Which is, I think it's those people show that it can be done. So why can't you? That's
Absolutely.
Everybody from Pittsburgh is I want to be Mac Miller or Wiz Khalifa.
Sure.
And I love Wiz is one of my main influences too. But I also want to be me.
Yeah.
I obviously take a ton of influence from him, but I take influence from Lil Peep or Juice WRLD. Or
That's good. That's what people need, is originality.
Or even
right?
other genres. I've been listening to especially the last few years, a lot more rock, alternative music.
For
and
sure.
All of those are starting to combine to make music that I would never even thought that I would listen to.
Sure.
Let alone be making it. but also talking about like the older stuff. The reason why I've never like gone back and like deleted like my first EP, I mixed those songs. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just going off like my ear at the time, like what I think sounds good. And it was literally the 4-year anniversary of that a couple days ago, or even
Happy
like
birthday.
these. The reason why like or even like those other songs like I made that were like really emotional and you know talking about somebody, and it's like the reason why I don't get rid of those things because like I said before, it shows the progression.
Sure.
But also like embracing like that's was my life at the time, and like I spent hours, days writing those songs, making those.
Absolutely.
And it is a timestamp, and also it's like if it helped me get through something, maybe somebody's dealing with something similar, and that can help them. That's what, like, I hope it can help
For
at least
sure.
one other person that's dealing with that. Because, I mean, the progression from now, it's like my music now is a lot more positive, and I had to go start somewhere, you know, and
You
get to
can't
where I am.
know positivity until you experience negativity, right? You know what I mean? You don't truly know what it means to be positive unless you
And appreciate
absolutely, unless you have the bad times you've gone through and stuff. So that's great, man. That's the way it's got to be.
Much love, bro. I appreciate
Absolutely.
that. It's awesome to have a conversation like this with, you know, different types of artists. Like, we've had all different types of people on the show. Like, you're a bassist, or we've had even, like, my friend who does graphic design has come on, or, you know, all different types of artists. And that's what I just like to learn and see, like, and have these conversations about how, you know, we all got to where we are and, like, the ideas that...
All artists speak the same language. It's just different dialects, right? Music is one dialect, and then, you know, physical art is another, or whatever, you know. All artists get it, and the struggles that we go through.
Like, even, like, when we were taking classes with Steve, like, all the guest speakers said, like, mostly the same things, just different ways. Like,
For sure.
I mean, the one that always stuck with me was, like, Brandy Carlisle.
Which is crazy. Which I can't believe we got that. Nuts.
Also reminds me of, like, Gary Vee. You guys know who he is?
Yeah.
From fucking Jersey, dude. But he's, like, he always...
I hate Gary Vee.
I love Gary Vee, dude. He said...
Gary Vee's like, kill your family because it'll make you work harder. Like,
he, like, helped pull me out of my depression, like, watching his videos
Really?
and shit. Absolutely. Like,
Are you like investing in stuff like that, like following like that stuff, or is it just the positivity stuff?
Yeah, more of
of
that.
Because
stuff.
I follow him as well, and I'm just like, I don't care for the NFTs, I don't care for that shit.
No,
Like,
I think-
NFTs are a total scam.
No,
I call them that day one. I'm so happy I did.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's definitely something that I think could be, you know, something crazy and would like get into in the future. But right now, it's like not my interest. But what I was saying about Gary Vee is, oh fuck, dude.
He's just such a positive
what were we just
force.
talking about?
Being positive.
He's just such a positive.
The specific thing. Oh, what did he say?
Well, why do you think about that? Did you see the thing with Seth Green and NFTs? So he had this like chicken NFT that he was making a TV show about, like related to it. Somebody like hacked him and stole his NFT, and now he can't make the show anymore. And he's trying to buy back the NFT from this guy because he like doesn't own it. He doesn't own the rights for it.
It's just
anymore.
a fucking picture. That's
Yeah,
crazy
it's
to
just
me.
a picture. Somebody like stole the blockchain or whatever. I don't know.
There's a reason why I brought
I'm
this up. I'm trying to think of it, dude. It's always fucking. Oh.
He's so funny.
What were we talking about before? How did we get to Gary Vee? Like, how did
I don't know.
Sometimes I just start talking and I don't know where I'm going, and I just hope I figure it out on the ride.
That's so funny. Isn't that an Office quote?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a Scott quote.
I got
Fuck,
it.
dude.
Dude, I'm not getting Peacock just to watch one show.
Oh no.
So
I think I have it. We have it for free because we have
Really?
Xfinity.
Ooh. Wait, I have Xfinity. I should
Yeah,
get
I
it
think
then.
you might have it.
Huh.
It's one of those things. Or at least like I know my parents have it, and I can just sign into their account.
I gotta watch the super fan cuts or whatever. They have like bits that they cut out of the original show and they just tacked on, made it a
Yeah.
its
Yeah, I
own
remember
episode.
seeing Kevin from The Office did like an interview,
Mhm.
and he was saying that before they like the whole first season, and most of the second season before. Oh, are we not recording anymore?
Just for a second. I have an idea. I'm just gonna go back and just.
Okay.
Okay. We're still rolling on.
But Kevin from The Office was saying that before they started shooting everything, like the first and second season, they would actually just sit in like an office and do like pretend to do office work for like 4 hours every morning.
Wow.
Because the director was like, this isn't like we need to feel like you guys all know each other already.
Sure.
And all have this mundane office job that you all hate.
I didn't know that. That's great. That's awesome. That they,
Yeah. It's wild.
That's like some light method acting, you know?
Yeah.
That's cool.
But
It just goes to show that they put so much thought behind that show. Do you listen to any of the podcasts?
no.
They're cool.
Wasn't-
He has his own.
Yeah, I think I said he does.
It's
But
pretty good.
It's crazy. Like shows like that.
They don't make them like that anymore.
Like even like Breaking Bad is the same way.
You know what? I still have to finish it.
Oh, it's the ending of it's incredible.
I know. That is on my list. Sopranos, obviously.
I gotta watch Sopranos. I haven't seen that yet. Adam watched The Godfather recently.
Yeah.
And that's all he's texting me about now. For like the past like weeks, it's all been Godfather stuff.
It's
I was like,
so-
all
with
right, I
the-
guess I'll watch it.
With the horse in the bed.
Yeah.
So funny.
Dude, it's crazy.
I gotta watch that still, actually. I haven't seen it.
I watched The Departed like 3 times in the last week. It's on Netflix now.
I haven't seen that either.
Oh, it's
You know what? I don't
Scores-
watch a lot of movies. I just gotta get into it. I know they're so good. It's hard.
I remember.
I just watch like the same movies now. So what are we doing with the Gary Vee stuff? This better be good.
It's not that good. But the point of what I was gonna say is because you were saying that like, you know, artists or musicians, they all like speak the same language and they all have their own experiences. He was saying, someone said like, Gary Vee, you fucking say the same shit all the fucking time, and he's like, yeah, because those are shit that works. But when you have, say, like, a lot of the topics that we have on this podcast are the same shit, but it's different people.
Sure.
And maybe it takes like that one, like, conversation with one specific person, one story about that topic or idea that makes it click with somebody.
For sure. It's got to resonate. Yes, I totally understand.
So like that's why it's important to have
Sure.
these different conversations about the same shit.
Absolutely.
Because you never know what actually might actually fucking make sense
Absolutely.
to somebody else.
Slightly off topic. That's why I like songs, right? Just you could hear it and you just hear, one set of ears will hear it differently than another set, right? And you internalize it so differently. It can mean something to some person and then something totally different to another person. And it could mean something so different to the person who wrote it. You know what I mean? You have something in mind. I know when you write songs, you have a thought in mind or whatever. And sometimes it turns out so different, like to somebody else who hears it. And you're like, oh, I never thought of it like that. But that's cool that you think of it like that. I think it's so awesome. That speaks to music being like
A universal language.
Yeah, it's like it's universal, but it's also it can be
Individualistic.
exactly. Like, it's just so interesting, and it's just so deep in it. It just cuts through so much. I love it. It's just there's nothing quite like it.
It's like if music was furniture. You hear a song and contextualize it as a table.
Dude,
But someone
what?
else will listen to it, and they'll think of it as like a chair.
Sure.
And you have all these different people thinking of like music as like, and you get a whole apartment built.
Yeah.
What was Richie going off with that one?
Is that some shit he?
Yeah,
said?
something he was
Yeah,
saying.
this
in
guy's
Brian
brought
Clark's
this up
class.
multiple-
Oh my god.
It was Richie was talking about this for like 20 minutes in one class, and I think about it all the time because I just have no idea where he was going with it, and I don't think he ever knew where he was.
But you know
going with
what? That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But with easier language. So it's just
it, without overthinking it all.
yeah. So
Yeah, that's why I love this podcast, though, is because, it helps even me, the fact that I edit this shit too as well. So I live it and then I watch it.
absolutely.
And so you just hear it all the time.
And it gets these ideas get engraved into my brain, even like for watching like Gary Vee for a long time. Like
Sure.
the shit that he talks about, like if I'm dealing with something like gratitude or patience or accountability, like shit that he talks about a lot.
Mhm.
It like it becomes my way of thinking, and so every time like I spend less time like dwelling on like when I fuck up rather than like, all right, what can I learn from this?
For sure.
How can I move forward and like having these conversations on the pod? Like every time it just helps engrave these ideas into my brain. So
exactly.
I'm more and more of a positive person every day.
Absolutely. That's what it takes. It's just you get people from all walks of life and you hear these different experiences, and then you come up with your own, I don't know, like your own takeaway from it. And then you, like I said, it's just like music, you know, you get something different. Kevin's going to take away something different. I'm going to take away something different. You're going to take away something different. You know, it's.
And then whoever's watching.
For sure.
Exactly. Else out of it.
It's, you know, it's crazy.
It's beautiful.
And everybody just like picks up on certain aspects of the same song. Like, I'm sure like you always just go like right to like noticing what the bass is doing.
So, you know what? I learned this recently. There are two types of brains when it comes to music, apparently, right? There's one brain that hears the music and then another that hears lyrics. I am absolutely music. I cannot hear lyrics. Like, I hear that people are singing, but I cannot pick apart the lyrics and what they're saying, like, on the first, like, you know, 1 to 3 times around. Like, I can't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hear the music, and that's what grabs me in, and that's what I love. That's how
I'm the exact same way, because, like, I won't, like, really learn lyrics that well until, like, I actually
you're reading them, yeah. It's crazy.
And I'm the opposite.
Yeah.
I need lyrics that I can hear and understand.
But that's great. You
but
know,
it has
it's
to
a different
be
take.
it has to be complemented by
Sure.
the music, of course. You
Yeah.
know? They have to enhance each other, I think. But like if I'm like hearing a song and I can't even really understand what the lyrics are saying, even if it's like good music, I'm like, I mean, it really depends on the situation.
For sure.
There are obviously instances where, you know, there are, but I've always been a fan of, like, lyrics that you can clearly hear, and I don't want them, like, drowned out by the music.
And you know what? I think that's why people knock country music a lot, too, at least new school country music. There's so many bogus songs out there just talking about bullshit. I don't want to, you know, the stereotype is, like, beers and trucks and boots and jeans and whatever, but it's so true. Like, you're hearing these songs we play, and...
My issue with like the stadium country, that like the guys that are selling out like Nissan Stadium, like Luke Bryan's, Jake Owen. Trying to think of, like, whoever has like a bar name, Jason Alden, whoever has a bar named after them on Broadway, like they're singing about like living on a farm and doing all this, you know, just doing all this farm work and being like country.
And then you look up where they're from, and
then like, but they're living in like a mansion in LA. Like, it's not like at some point it's not, the lyrics aren't authentic to the person anymore. And like I feel like people picked up on that a lot with like country music, and I'm starting to notice it more with like rap now.
Really?
Where there's like rappers like talking about being in the hood and like doing all this gang stuff, and they're from like a white suburban town.
This reminds me of like the other day at work, I was listening to the Impulsive podcast with Logic was on it, and he was talking about the same shit. A lot of rappers are putting on like a character or a persona. Might as well be the fucking WWE, you know, fucking.
Wow.
Like, and he used Tekashi 6ix9ine is a perfect example of it.
Tekashi 6ix9ine, this guy from my hometown, David Villegas, Skinny from the Nines, is the same way, where he's a bum. He bought like a Toyota Camry, and he like tricked it out to make it look like a Lamborghini. And
how do you even do that?
I don't know. But like signed like a terrible contract. He's like, oh, I signed to Soulja Boy Records now for $1 million, and he's like talking about he's from like the hood of New Jersey, like he's from the hood, and he grew up surrounded by like violence and guns and all this stuff. And I was like, dude, you grew up in Somerville, New Jersey, where it's a square mile with like 4 police officers. Nothing is going on in that town. Everything closes at 8:00 at night.
It's one thing to put on a character for fans, because that works sometimes. You have people like Alice Cooper. It's the shock rock thing, or Kiss with the makeup. They're supposed to look scary and stuff. But if you're blatantly lying, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like the thing is with them is like they're not. It's like a character that they made, but they're not like lying about their origins or anything. It's
I mean, you want that authenticity, you know.
That's why I take my music so seriously, because to me it's like a direct reflection of who I am and what I'm going through.
Exactly.
Sure. And you know what? That doesn't mean that music has to be written like from the heart and you have to experience everything.
Yeah.
You can write stories, you know what I mean? But I don't know. I guess lying was the wrong word. I guess that person actually is lying.
Yeah.
Kind of like acting like that
Sure.
is you.
Sure.
who
That's
you are.
yeah. That's one thing. But I feel like if you're telling a story from the perspective of a different character or something, that's okay, because people do that all the time, right? Because there are concept albums that exist that are all about like a fictional character going
But as
through
long as
something.
they're like authentic
Sure.
to it.
I appreciate all music. I'm not trying to knock
Yeah.
anything, you know. So
No, I appreciate all music has its place within the world. But it's just like I'm okay to admit that not all music is for me.
sure, that's it.
But-
That's, you know, that takes a lot to admit that, you know.
You're a strong man, Kevin.
Absolutely. But you know what? It's better to be like, oh, I just won't, you know, listen to this kind of music because it's not for me. That's fine, you know. No point in arguing with people. Some things just don't click. Again, we keep going back to it. It's just like sometimes somebody hears something and it works, and sometimes it doesn't. That's it.
But it's like you know, like David Leonard. Like I'm never gonna say that it's bad because
Super
it's all
subjective.
subjective.
Right.
Like our mix project, where it was like he's like, I'm just gonna give you guys all A's because who am I to say your mix is bad?
That's why teaching a class like that is just so. I don't know. I don't understand it, because if it is subjective, how are you gonna have a class on it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I still like. I remember in high school I took AP Music Theory, and the second half of the year we were working in Sibelius from Avid, and it was write or like compose like 60 measures of music for the whole school wind ensemble to sight read, or 48 measures for the jazz band to sight read, and we did it all. They all performed it. I did like an arrangement of like stuff from like Nintendo music.
Sick. And they
So,
played
like,
it.
Yeah, because I felt like wind ensemble, that's cool, like orchestra stuff.
What song?
It was like the Hyrule Castle theme from Super Smash Bros.
Yeah.
And
I can hear it in my head, but I can't.
yeah, like
hum
you know
it
what
back.
it is.
Yeah. That's the
And-
big map, right?
Yeah, the big map with the castle and
Yeah, yeah.
everything. And then the original Super Mario theme song.
Sick.
And it worked. It was cool. But I remember like at the end of that, he's like, so what do you guys think? Like, what grade do you think your work deserves on this project? And we were all like a 93, 94. Because
Yeah,
we were like,
like,
we don't want to say 100.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, is that a trick question?
Yeah,
You know what
it
I
was
mean?
one of those
Because
things.
if you go too high, they're going to be like, no, fuck you. You're going to get a
Yeah.
fucking 80 now. Or is it like, you know, oh no, you should be proud of your work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
Like,
so he's
I don't
like,
get
oh,
that.
like,
I
if
really
you think
don't.
your work is worth like that grade, I'm just going to give you that grade. Like, as long as you're just being honest with yourself.
And there was no trick behind it either,
No,
right?
it was just,
Did some people sell themselves short?
oh yeah. And he was like, you know, like it's subjective. I can't grade you on like the actual like art, but I can grade you on how much effort you put into it.
But that's so weird to me, because that can be measured, your effort. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that, I don't know.
Well, I don't know. It's
Whatever.
weird,
You
but it's
you
like-
passed. You
Yeah, I
passed. You
passed.
graduated. So
Here we are.
yeah. You know what? I hated theory in school. I really did, because there were so many snobs at our school that were just like, yeah, I know theory, but they also played music. I could smoke any of those guys playing wise. You know, just because you're good at theory doesn't necessarily mean you could translate it to the instrument, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's something I'll ride on. I will not. I don't want to. You know what? I don't think it's bad to know how to read sheet music. I think it could help you, honestly. I'm not going to be the person to go back and sit down and do it, because I've gotten so far, and I'm honestly ahead of people that knew more theory than me. So
I think I was like low key one of those people.
you weren't a snob. You knew your stuff.
Like I knew it. Like I was never. Like I remember like I would like with the labs. I went to Wendy. I was like, hey,
Sure.
like, I play piano. Like I know I've taken theory courses, and like I didn't have to do like the labs.
Sure.
But I like remember there's like one class where like with Victor, where me and Tyler were just competing to answer more questions than each other.
I don't know how I didn't know you at all.
I know, dude. We never.
We just never crossed paths. Yeah.
I was also like a hermit in college.
You were a year younger.
Yeah.
But even at like house shows.
I know.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe like we did, but like we never like. I feel like we never spoke.
I'm surprised we're not even through like the Arcadia circle or anything. Like we.
Yeah, because I was like friends with Tommy Barvick.
Yeah. Interesting. It's so weird.
Well,
here we are. Here we are.
We met.
We met here. We met
the first night me and Kev moved down. The three of us went out on Broadway because the next night you were playing at AJ's, so you're like, "Oh, let's go check it out."
Mm-hmm.
And we were at AJ's. I think we bounced to Tootsie's after that, and then Lucky Bastard.
Yeah, something like
Lucky
that.
Bastard. Yes.
Good time.
That was good. That was
always like that place. It's a dope spot.
I'm trying to get in. I really want to play there.
Yeah. So then the next night, you guys were. Kelly Daniels was playing at AJ's, and me and Kev closed that bitch down with you guys.
It's a long night, right?
Oh,
it's crazy. We're out of there like 3 o'clock sometimes, 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
Our shift is 10 p.m. 10 p.m. to close. And you know what? I just learned this. You get more money the later you play, which is crazy. You get not like it scales. Like the base pay is higher, so there are three shifts throughout the day. So there's 11 o'clock a.m. to 2. And then 2 to 6, or four shifts, 6 to 10, and 10 to close. So we played the 6 to 10 once, and we made less money. I was like, what the hell? You know, granted, I'm just happy to play, but I'm just like, it was a shock.
Yeah, you weren't ready for that.
Yeah, so, you know what, my body is used to being up that late, so I'll play the late shifts for a little bit extra money. I'll take it, you know. And I'm playing, doing what I want to do. Not playing the songs I want to play, but I'm still playing bass, so that's all that matters. So
getting better.
That's it.
So I think it was one show. Me and Emily were joking because we saw you bring out the binder. Some song we're like, "Oh, Steve doesn't know this one."
Yeah, yeah. We're trying a lot of new songs, so if I don't know it that well, chances are nobody else knows it that well. So as long as I am.
As long as you're doing your job, it's.
I mean, that's what comes with being a bass player. Is you just got to hold it down. That's it.
Yeah.
So that's really all that matters. So
I got a question for you.
Yep.
When did you start playing bass? Or where are your musical beginnings at?
I started my freshman year of high school, and it was because me and my brother used to play all the Guitar Hero, all the Rock Band games, you know, and it's because we love that music, and it's because our dad put us onto that. So it's all these rock songs, all the classics like Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue, whatever, all that stuff, Metallica. So we just loved that game so much, and then my brother got nasty, so good at the drums, and he learned how to play the real drums from playing the fake Rock Band drums, because you're actually hitting it. It's not like the guitar where you just you know what I mean? Just fretting on the same whatever.
Yeah, you're actually hitting like
right. So he got nasty. So he played the drums. My dad plays acoustic guitar. So it's kind of like forced to play bass because it's the only instrument that nobody played. So we were trying to put a band together. So that's how it started. It was just a family band type deal, and then I just kept sticking with it, and that's where I'm at today. I started playing. I remember the first couple songs I learned was "Paranoid" by Black Sabbath.
Great song.
Yeah, and that's a good song for beginners to learn. And I shot high. I tried doing "The Trooper" by Iron Maiden, which is hard. So those songs, and then some Motley Crue, Chili Peppers, of course. Early in my career, I started in a Chili Peppers cover band, and that was fun. I learned a lot of stuff through that. That was my first real band. I got some gigs and stuff, so I got some experience.
In high school?
That was, yes. So mostly high school. This was like junior, senior year, and then some crossed over into college. And then from college, it was just like, damn, I love this, love being in bands. So in college, I got so lucky. Like my first or second week, I met people and we're like, you want to start a band? So we did it and had an album out sophomore year. It was crazy. And then from there, stuck with that band, filled in with a couple more bands, did some cover projects and stuff. And I just, throughout my entire time at New Haven, I was just in bands, and that's really what my takeaway was from that experience, was playing in bands, and that's what I wanted to do. It wasn't the studio stuff, it wasn't the classes, and you know, it sucks that I had to waste all that money, but you know what? As long as I figured it out, then that's it. That's all that matters.
Well, I remember too, like freshman year of college, it was like when we were all like talking, it was like, oh, what instruments do you guys all play? And it was like Richie, Jameson were the only ones that were like, oh, and like Wally were like, oh, I play drums.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like you and Adam were the only ones that were like, oh, I play bass.
Yeah, that's how it goes. It's like,
yeah, like me and Joe were the only ones that said like keys, but I just never did any bands because one, with like classical background, I always felt like very much like writer's block with like just chords, because I was like, oh, like I want to do more.
I feel like it's hard to bring that to a band
and
setting,
then
right?
also like my biggest issue, like just always like taking lessons and everything, was always like when I play, I just don't count, or like I'll count and then I'll just stop counting and then I'll get off rhythm, and I just was like, I'm not gonna play in the band because that's gonna happen and it's gonna frustrate me, it's gonna frustrate everybody. It's just better not to do that.
Sure.
But and then like everybody else is like, oh, I sing and play guitar.
Yeah, that's what everybody does. But you know what? That's a start. So I feel like I always get these roles just because nobody else plays bass, and that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, more work for me, so I'll take it.
Yeah, because Adam went like MIA for like a year and a half. So
That's
just
it.
Like,
Everybody
was like, Steve, we need you.
Everybody needed a bass player. That's it. You know, if you want to start a rock band, at one point I was in.
There was like one show where you played like you were in 3 different bands that all played the same night at like the Galaxy. I remember something like that.
I think it was an out of town gig, and I played twice. It was Arcadia and Him or Her.
Yeah,
that's what it was. And oh no, and then there's a Yale show I did Him or Her, and Crystal Clear. Which I love doing those gigs. That's it. It's fun. This is a total different experience for me, playing to these strangers and stuff. It's one thing playing to friends in a packed basement, and it's, you know, the energy's there and people love you, and vibe. Yeah, it's fun. This is different. You know what? If I have a bad show one night and I play again the next night, it's a totally different crowd. Doesn't even fucking matter, you know?
Yeah. It's not like, oh, this person's...
Right. It's like if you're playing in front of your friends and you mess up badly, they could be like, oh, this guy sucks. We're not going to go see him, you know?
I was the first one to go to the Galaxy.
Wow.
Because it was like September, and I found out about the University of New Haven from one of the guys I was in Boy Scouts with, who was, when we were freshmen at UNH, he was a senior, kid Alex Gilson. And he lived with Ben Templeman and Niall.
Oh, wow.
So like I knew that I was hung out with them a little bit before like Ken just schmoozed his way in. Not bitter or anything, but I remember like talking to him. He's like, "Hey, like there's this house show, the Galaxy. Like, you know, just take the shuttle to like Savin, and then we'll just walk. You know, just come show up with us." And I remember talking to all you guys about it, and you're all like, "No, I don't want to go out. I'm okay."
Really?
Yeah.
I said no.
It was like
totally took it for granted.
I know. Dude.
Yeah.
Have you ever been there?
Yeah, I went to a few shows there, and I would kill to go back.
Right? Isn't it crazy? I feel like not everyone is like.
That was prime college time.
Not everyone's like as fortunate as
it was
we
also
were.
like, it was like the 3rd week of school too.
Oh, okay. But still, to have a community like that where everyone's going to house shows and it's like, oh, this is what we're doing this weekend. We're going to a house show. We're seeing this band play. It's like you're doing what you would normally do at a house party anyway, but with live music. Come on, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome.
So much fun, dude.
Awesome.
Vibe.
For sure.
Yeah, I like miss house shows. I miss having house shows.
It's fun.
Those are fun.
Can't do it over here. No apartments.
Well, I mean,
One of my buddies though he's not here right now. He's like spending some time in LA, but like when he gets back, he said like he's got a little backyard that he would want to throw down at.
There you go.
I was like,
That'd be
sweet.
sick, yeah. Get a nice setup going.
well, I know your cousin Sal was talking about getting a house down here with him and Mark.
That would be sick to have the boys over here.
Yeah, so for all the viewers, I'm low key part of the DeRose family.
Yes.
I was invited on a vacation trip with Steve's cousin and his younger brother.
I wasn't even
Steve
invited.
wasn't invited.
Yeah,
So, I will work. Oh, Steve also hasn't mentioned it yet. His family owns a pizzeria, Sal's Pizzeria in Mamaroneck.
Yeah.
It's great, best Sicilian I've ever had.
Fire. I had
It's-
tried some.
That's right. Yes,
It was
that's
very
right. We
good.
had some frozen and
Yeah.
we heated it up, but
It's cash only,
cash is king.
which raises questions because I feel like it's a front for money laundering.
No comment.
But so we gotta give
No,
gotta
we
give
keep
shout
it
out
old
Sal's.
school. We keep it old school.
Yeah, keep it old school.
Yeah.
Italian gelato.
Dude.
Yeah.
Speaking of Sal, when he came to visit down here,
He's a riot.
We went to see you guys, Kelly Daniels, perform at Rippy's, I think it was,
Mm-hmm.
and he got up on stage and sang with you guys.
Yeah.
Did the worm?
Yeah, he did the
The
worm.
worm.
I can't wait to get Sal on the pod. But speaking of all that, so it was like our second week we were here. Sal was in town. Went out with him a couple times.
Oh man.
Lots of shenanigans when
Shenanigans.
Sal's in town. And you guys broke into my house too.
Oh yeah, we called you and we were like, hey, what's the code?
Yeah.
And you gave it to us, and then we just walked in, started watching TV,
Yeah.
got ourselves a glass of water, heated up some pizza.
I was on a date with my girlfriend, and while these guys were chilling, eating some pizza, watching some TV. So that's that.
Oh
Funny
man. It's
stuff.
Sal,
So
dude.
goofy. I'm trying to coordinate with him. He's got to grab my things from Jersey. I have some things left over there, which I'm still kicking myself about because it's just so frustrating dealing with that and coordinating with the people who are in the house still to put my things together and stuff, and they want to keep some stuff around, so I got to see what I got to sell to them and stuff, but also to make sure Sal grabs the right things, make sure nobody's stealing things from me. You know, it's a lot. And I
Yeah.
wish I could be there to physically do it myself, but so he's going there in a few days because some of the stuff I was borrowing from him. So it's so layered and so many people are involved with this. So
It's just a convoluted mess.
yeah. So, yeah, it's whatever. It's what happens when you move quickly. And
So how long were you in Jersey for?
about a year. So we moved into that place.
Well, you moved into where? Edison, right?
Piscataway. So
Right,
basically
Piscataway,
right
yeah.
there.
Because I was like, that place was like 10 minutes from where I worked.
Mhm.
Because my dad's office was in South Plainfield.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's like right off exit 5
Yeah.
on 287.
Wow. That was September 2020, right? We graduated in 2020?
Yeah, we graduated in May 2020.
I think it was that same year that I moved, yeah. Wow. It's crazy. September 2020, yeah.
And then
And then I left June
It's
of
like a
last
few
year.
months early.
Yeah. I was there for like a year because we were in the middle of moving to another place, so renewing our lease, and the lease was a year long. So yes, so I was there for a year. Yes, that's exactly it. It's
And
crazy.
Moved down here.
That's it. I like I said, I got tricked into it. So to go back to my story before, I don't remember where we were, but my buddy Ashton asked me to move for this, and I had thought that it was only for the summer. So I talked to some friends, and I ended up staying with them for the summer. Ended up paying rent, my share, whatever.
You went on tour with them last summer? Probably?
Yeah, so I was on tour. The gig said...
Because I remember you telling me about it, like, oh yeah, like I got to sing like the summer, like going on tour. I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so the thing said it was from June to September. That's it. That's what the Facebook ad said. All this was done on Facebook. The guy was like, I'm looking for people to do this, whatever. Said June to September. All we would do was meet here and then go out to Chicago, because that's where he's from. And that's fine. We stayed in that area. That's where he's from, so I get it. He has connections and stuff. But we would do that basically every week. We had 2-3 shows a weekend. And we were doing that for the summer. And then I was like, all right, everybody, it's time for me to go. And then they're like, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, we were only supposed to do this till September. So then basically a singer wined and dined me one night and begged me to stay. Yeah, it was a nice dinner with some wine and some pasta.
Where did you guys go?
At his place. He made it for me.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. He was determined. So, it worked. I'm still here.
So we'll do anything for some Italian food.
I got the best of the best back home. So
I know.
It worked out, and I was convinced, I thought it would be better than what it was, like I said before, in the winter, it's dead, right? No one's touring, no one's on Broadway, so it's like you're not making a lot of money. So it was hard to get through, and you know what? If I got to do it again this year or the next year, I'll be better off, and, I have that in my head, and I'll plan for it better. But, there's some highs and some lows, and overall, I'd say it's worth it, and I loved it. So I'm still doing it. We did a few shows so far out on the road. Same deal, Chicago area, trying to branch out into some more places.
That was like this past weekend you were out there? Or?
Yeah, this past weekend. We were out in, I'm just going to say Chicago. I don't know exactly where it is, but Illinois, that area. Yeah. So the week before that was Iowa with a different group. So the Iowa, Illinois, and then when we don't have stuff on the road, we're playing at Alan Jackson's bar, which is great because, guaranteed work on the weekends. So, and that's what we're doing this weekend back at AJ's. So it'll be fun.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
How was the show last weekend, like traveling to Illinois?
You know what? Sometimes it's fun because we have a set pay, and we only played one show that weekend, and I'll just say it. It's $200 a show. So
per player?
Per player, yes. So, you know what? There's a lot that comes with that. So normally we would leave Thursday night, and you have to pack a bag. You have to have multiple clothes. You have to have your stage clothes and hangout clothes and bedtime clothes because we're sleeping on a tour bus. So it's like you have to put up with that. And then we have a driver who sometimes drives recklessly, and you have to be on your toes, and you're awake at night. So it's a lot to ask for only $200 a weekend. So it's only really worth it if you do multiple shows in a weekend. There's so much that you have to pack your own food and stuff like that if you don't want to spend money on the road. So there's a lot that goes into it, but it is rewarding when it's a good show and you're playing multiple shows and stuff. So
yeah, I saw some videos on Instagram. It looked like a big crowd.
Yeah, it got packed later at night. So he'll get good shows like that, and that's when it's worth it, But at first we were all like, one show for $200. You're leaving Thursday night, you get back Sunday night. It's just so much time dedicated for that. It's like if you divide that amongst the days, it's not worth it per day.
Yeah.
So when you could be making just about the same amount on Broadway and you don't have to leave home,
Well, it's a good experience. I remember Steve Fisher always telling us oh, if you can ever go on the road, do it.
Absolutely. And I know I listened to the podcast last time with Steve. He was doing the same thing. He's a similar situation. He got asked to go out on the road, and he was like, if you can do it, do it. And I totally back up that. If you have the opportunity to do it, do it. Do the homework, be the best you can be, and, that's it. So.
Good shit, man.
Yeah.
I feel like this has been a good pod so far. Good episode. I got one more question for you.
Sure.
What are some of your main musical influences?
You know what? When I first started playing, I was so not open-minded, and I was just rock. That's it. You know, and also certain kinds of rock. So I was only really listening to like Chili Peppers and Foo Fighters and Metallica and Iron Maiden and Sabbath and stuff like that. So if I could go back and remember the guys I was listening to at that time, it was really Rush. So Geddy Lee was a huge influence on me as playing. Geezer Butler from Black Sabbath, same thing, bass playing. And Steve Harris, Iron Maiden. And Flea, of course. Those are my 4 guys that got me into it. And then from there, and obviously all those guys are rock, but from there you learn different styles of playing, and you learn their influences, and you learn that their influences take from other genres and stuff, and that's great. And then, you know what I mean? If I'm saying like one of my influences is Flea, but he has a background in funk and whatever and all this other stuff, then it's like, okay, now that is part of my, you know what I mean? That's part of my...
Like, I talk about this, like, I think a couple times on podcasts, and I know me and Anna Pollock always mention this to each other, where it's like, if you want to sound like your favorite musicians, listen to their favorite musicians.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then you get the background on why they play the way they do.
Absolutely.
And it's like, oh, the whole history.
That's exactly
It's like the family tree.
For sure. That's exactly it. So those were my 4. And that's what got me playing bass, and those are the best of the best, I think, like in terms of rock music.
Yeah.
I mean, you have other people too that I just wasn't listening to at the time, like Entwistle from The Who, and Chris Squire is awesome from Yes, but I just
Paul McCartney.
Absolutely, all the time. I did not grow up listening to the Beatles. Anything that I listened to growing up was from my dad, and he was born in the mid-'70s, so he wasn't even listening to the Beatles really. So whatever, if he didn't listen to it, I didn't listen to it. It was really only till I moved out of the house where I was discovering my own music and stuff like that. So now I'm all over the place. I could give you so many different names and stuff of what I'm listening to now. Even these country guys, I'm digging a lot of the stuff that they're playing. I'm digging deep and listening to the old stuff like the Willie Nelsons and the Merle Haggard stuff and Marty Robbins, stuff like that.
Brian Millsap.
Yeah, exactly.
We got to use his grand piano at Soundstage.
We did.
You're just gonna keep like extending your
That's it,
knowledge from there. 'Cause
Exactly.
I was the same way. Like growing up, I listened to hip hop, and it was like 2000s hip hop, like later 2000s, I would say, to like what was relevant, like what was current at the time. And that's like all I listened to. Very hard headed in that way.
Sure.
And then it wasn't until college where I started listening to like my favorite artist influences, like listening to old school, like Wu-Tang, didn't get into, or like Tupac, Biggie, like didn't start listening to those artists till college. And then I was taking history of rock. Finally helped me really branch out.
That was huge for me too, honestly. I thought that was a great class. I'm really glad that they taught that.
Who was your professor?
I had Murray.
Okay, yeah.
Did you have something?
No, I had Sean.
Shout out the GOAT.
Yeah.
Come on the pod.
Did you have him too?
No, he was my advisor. But I had him for a couple other classes. I had Patty Ribbs for
That's,
Rock. He's a great dude too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was cool that I had him for both history of rock and hip-hop history too. So it was like I got to see those two different sides
For sure.
of music from same professor, and he was just like really dope.
That's sick.
I had more
love that guy.
classes with Rivers' wife than with Rivers.
I never met her.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Rivers' wife was she was the head of Math Zone.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Did not know that.
But
It's crazy.
yeah, I had Persinger for History of Rock, and it was good.
Sure.
But I just had some like issues with his teaching style because he was
Bob Marley.
well, he's one of those people that like he's always has to be right, and is like closed-minded in that sense where like if it's not his opinion is fact. He was one of those type of guys. And like I get it, like you're the teacher, like you curated like the course for the semester, like you know you're gonna talk about you want, but it was like he wouldn't consider like he wouldn't consider the Who like a good rock band because he's like, oh, they didn't influence rock in any way, or like he was like that kind of person. It's like they didn't do anything new, so they're not good. and like just from that I have an issue with it. And then it was
Sure.
like we had a project where it's like, oh, like talk about like an influential artist within that we didn't mention in class. And originally I wanted to do Fish, talk about the jam band scene. And he's like, oh, they're not influential. They didn't.
Is he gonna say if you're gonna do that, you might as well do the Grateful Dead?
Yeah, he exactly did that. Or he's like, or do Zappa. And I was like, well, Fish did 13 sets at a sold out MSG without a single repeat.
Yeah.
How many artists do you know that could do that?
Who's done that? Yeah.
And I was like, but he's like, that's not good enough. So then I switched to Bob Marley because I was like, all right. And I was like, well, Bob Marley created the first full reggae album. And he's like, oh, that's not true. And I was like,
what a dick.
well, he's like, there's been other, like, you know, right, there's been other albums of that before Bob Marley. He wasn't the first reggae artist. I was like,
On that level.
But I was like,
Yeah.
no, because those other albums it was dub, reggae, ska, two-tone. It wasn't just reggae.
Sure.
And he's like, oh, well, you're only half correct. I was like, no, I'm right. Like, just say I'm right and that you were wrong. Like, don't be like, oh, you're half right.
And it's
like,
also super subjective of who's
For sure.
influential
Yeah.
or not.
Yeah. That's the mark? It was like how
Yeah.
influential they are. That's being influential is so subjective too. If you're influenced by someone, then that's it. You know, you could be like, they influenced me. That's it.
yeah,
Yeah, it
it's
could
like,
be a fucking no name.
it was like, oh, like they changed. It was like they had to. So he was like, dude had like, we had like 5 or 6 classes just talking about like the Beatles or Zappa because he's like, they did so much for recording. They did so much for rock music. Like, if you want to be like, oh, like this artist was the first to do like, you know, layered harmonic vocals like Queen, like with Bohemian Rhapsody, with
Sure.
like, and he's like, well, you can go back and be like, Frank Zappa did that for 15 seconds in one of his songs in the 62. It's like, all right, but like,
You could do that with literally anything. You
Yeah.
could find, you know, if people are digging hard with that in mind, they could find whatever they want to
yeah,
hear.
they're like, he was the first to
And
do it, and
that's-
it's like,
yeah.
so the other people that didn't and did it better, like that, they don't matter now. It's like, I don't subscribe to that.
Yeah, it's dumb.
So, let's wrap this thing up.
Yep.
Sure.
Is there anything that you want to say, Steven, before we
Anything you
finish
want
this
to plug? Shout out.
I'll be playing at Alan Jackson's Good Time Bar on Friday nights if I'm not on the road. You could find the Kelly Daniels tour dates on the website. You could see when we're not on the road because I don't expect you to have any listeners out in Chicago right now. But anybody in Nashville that wants to see us play will be at Alan Jackson's for the most part every weekend. You'll be able to catch us from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. And you'll see me on stage left. I'll be rocking the house every night, and that's it.
Yep. And that's on Instagram, Kelly Daniels Music with a Z.
Yes, music with a Z, because the other Kelly Daniels music was taken.
Jam.
I don't know. And then you can also follow me on Instagram. It's just my name, Steven DeRose, with a PH. StephenDerose.
Link in the bio.
Yeah. Did you see you can't say link in bio anymore on TikTok?
Really?
The algorithm is saying that like they don't, because if you're saying link in the bio, it means you're being taken to another app, right? And
Yeah.
TikTok doesn't want you to be like off the app. They want you on their app for as long as possible. So they will start like banning videos if you say link in the bio.
Really? Dude, I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
because they can. It's not they hear your voice and they're like, if they hear it, they'll mark it. Or if you write link in the bio in the text. So what people are doing now is they'll space it out like L, you know what I mean? So it doesn't recognize it as link in bio.
Yeah.
It's shitty, especially for artists, you know,
Yeah.
you can't.
Well, I've also heard like the algorithm is different for like different countries. But like I don't know how much of that's true, because like I heard that like over in like China, Japan, like Thailand, over like in like Asia,
Mm-hmm.
it's all the videos are more focused towards like STEM, while in like Europe and North America, it's more pop culture.
Interesting. I could definitely
Which
see the
like
pop
I can see
culture
that happen, but like I don't know if it's true, but like I always see people be like, "Oh, it's a weapon."
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I love TikTok.
I kind of have some TikTok knowledge because my brother has like 450,000 followers.
Does
so-
he actually?
Yeah.
What does he post?
It's just goofy stuff.
Is he doing dances?
No dancing.
No dancing.
But it's just like, you know what? That's my brother, and it's just like if he can do it, then I can do it too. You know,
Yeah.
he has his main page, and then he also has a successful music page where he's just playing some covers and stuff. So I'm happy for him. So.
Like I know, like I follow a lot of people that are like, oh, like here's like this guitar part for like this song.
Oh my god, I see so many people who
I
are
do love
garbage
that.
at instruments just getting so many views and stuff. It's crazy. It's so nuts, and I'm just like, I could do that.
I
way
also
better.
follow a lot of like really hot girls that just play guitar.
Wow.
And I was like,
This guy.
shove that down my throat.
yeah.
Jesus Christ. On that note,
Yeah.
this has been episode 26 of the Endless Enjoyment Podcast. I'm your host, Chenzo
I'm your host, Kevin Liss.
And I'm guest Steve DeRose
Jr.
Jr.
You can catch him playing on Broadway in Nashville, Tennessee as a part of the Kelly Daniels Band.
And on tour in the Chicago area every now and then.
Yep.
So, fucking go check him out. Go check out the
Come
band.
see us. Come see us.
Go out to a show. It's always a good time.
Absolutely.
Especially if you like country. And
I don't even like country, but if you like me, then come on out.
Hey, I'm not. I used to hate country, but now like I can tolerate.
No,
it.
I'm just.
There's certain
I'm
songs
just,
I like.
I'm just joking.
And
And
there
then there's
are
other
some-
songs that I just like to make fun of.
It's
and sing
growing
along
on.
with.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. It's growing on me.
And yeah, for sure. And there's songs that I do enjoy, but it's always a good time seeing y'all perform. And I
Appreciate
appreciate
it.
you coming on the
Never know what to
pod.
expect.
Appreciate you guys.
That's my favorite part about it.
That is true. Some crazy shit will always happen.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And usually I only see you like at the shows or whatnot, so it's like good to sit down, like hang out,
Absolutely,
and talk.
man.
So much love, Maine.
Absolutely. Thank you guys.
Enjoy, y'all.
Peace.
Enjoy. Thank you. Enjoy.